Hello, listeners, and thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Optimized Advisor podcast, where I had the good fortune of sitting down with our friend Lara Galloway, Senior Vice President of White Glove Workshops. This is actually a two-part series where she and I dive into everything seminar marketing, digital, in person, as well as much more. Now, at the time that we recorded these episodes, she was the Senior Vice President with White Glove, actually had spent 6 years with White Glove during her tenure there, but has since moved on to become the Chief Marketing Officer with Goldstone Financial Group. We wish her all the best of luck and success in her future endeavors. We certainly hope you enjoy these two episodes. Cheers, and thank you for listening.
Hello, friends, and welcome to the Optimized Advisor podcast, where we focus on optimizing the well-being and best practices of insurance and financial professionals today. On this show, our objective is to help you optimize your life, optimize your profession, and learn from other optimized advisors. I'm your host, Scott Heinela. We hope you enjoy the show. Lara, welcome to the Optimized Advisor podcast. Thank you sincerely for taking the time with us today to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. It's been awesome getting to know you guys a little bit through the work we've done together, and happy to share what we can today.
Where are you tuning in from?
We are in Troy, Michigan. So we just moved offices from Birmingham, Michigan, where we've been forever. And I haven't even finished unloading the boxes yet. So we just got here.
Wow. So you're very close proximity to the PCN home office, also in Troy.
There you go.
By the way.
Yeah. Very easy access. And it's pretty nice to have a lot of a business center around here. So we have a lot of advisors around here and firms that we work with as well.
That's wonderful. Okay, so let me do you the proper introduction. Lara Galloway, you were the Senior Vice President of Channel Management at White Glove, which is the predominant reason why you're here today. We're quick update about what White Glove is doing, all the great things. The topic of today's discussion, as you and I prefaced before, is to hone in a little bit more on this estate planning conversation.
Yeah. And, Scott, my job here, I've been with White Glove for about 5.5 years, and I've done a variety of roles in sales, marketing, business development, product. And my goal as the head of channel management, is just looking for different ways to find distribution partners, basically. So I look at all the different partnerships out there with firms that have technology platforms or that offer certain services, coaching, training type stuff that benefits our mutual clients. And so I've been looking out there a lot in terms of the estate planning world. I've been looking at a lot of the providers in the industry that are helping advisors take on and add estate planning to their practice so that they can reap a whole lot of rewards. And so I've been talking with some of the different partners out there, like Estate Guru, Encore Estate Plans, and Wealth.com. And these are companies that are just really making it so easy for advisors to own that estate planning conversation and that relationship and make possible a whole lot of things that can come from having those kind of conversations.
That's fantastic. Okay, so that's wonderful. Great resources. I want to circle back to that. Let's take it maybe one step at a time. Tell us, for those that don't know, who is White Glove? What do they do? And then from there, beautiful. Let's talk about that estate planning conversation.
Sure. So White Glove is a lead generation company. We help financial advisors get in front of an audience that is looking for financial education. So we call ourselves the party planners and the marketers. We organize financial education workshops and we handle all of the marketing. We take all of the responsibility of getting people to show up for the workshop. And the advisor comes in as our invited guest speaker who presents as a subject matter expert on topics like Social Security, taxes and retirement, or estate planning. Those are our main 3 core topics. And so we do all the work to make sure that the advisor gets up front and gets in front of some qualified prospects who need their help. The advisor does a great presentation for maybe an hour, either in person or in a webinar. And then the advisor pays nothing up front to us. They pay only the day after the event. So we do all of the venue coordination, the room setup, the marketing, the advertising, the follow-up confirmations to get people to show up. We guarantee those results, and the advisor pays us the day after the event for the people who come.
True turnkey, like truly, right?
Yeah, and to that end, true turnkey, even after the event, we have support. So we have like a 45-day, we call it a conversion campaign. And basically, it's just using our call center to send text, emails, and phone calls saying, hey, so sorry you missed Scott's workshop on taxes and retirement. Would you like to schedule a time on his calendar to have that one-on-one conversation? So we'll do that to get more appointments for you even after the event.
That's fantastic. Okay. What about presentation development? Is the rep responsible for creating their own presentation? Is there guidance that you provide? What does that look like?
So the guidance, that's a great question, and we get it a lot. The guidance we provide is basically saying, take a look. Here's the landing page that we're going to use to market your event. We're going to tell the public, if you come to this estate planning workshop, you're going to learn these 9 bullet points. And we make these bullet points really broad, Scott, because it's the stuff you guys do every day. You can do it in your sleep. It's not, oh my gosh, I'm not comfortable talking about X, Y, Z. It's the stuff you're doing every day in your office, okay? So we show you the bullet points and we say, we're agnostic to the presentation or the slide deck that you use to present on this topic. We don't care. What we care about is that you meet the marketing message, because nobody's going to win, not you, not me, not the audience, if somebody shows up because they were caring about this one particular bullet point and you didn't cover it. So we just say, make sure your presentation covers this information, and we will consult with you on that to make sure that your presentation does. And if you need a presentation, if you need a slide deck, we have several content partners that we recommend where we've vetted what they offer. And we say, listen, go to one of these guys. We're going to have it listed on our website. Go to one of these guys, and we know that their presentation with this topic works with our presentation. So you can just go grab that yourself. We don't make any money off of it. That's not what we're trying to do there. We're just trying to provide it. If your BD or your back office, your FMO, whoever doesn't provide that for you already. We have a lot of people who come to us that say, well, I've already got a presentation that I've been doing for a while. So that's why we don't want to tell you, you have to do it our way. If you're comfortable with a presentation you have, go for it.
That's great. So I can submit the presentation I'm used to doing and delivering. I just need to make sure I run that by the team at White Glove,
Yep.
and that the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. In other words, you're covering the bullet points, and all the meat of the presentation is cohesive with our advertising. I would presume it's also understood and probably suggested that the advisor creates their own introductory slides, their own closing slides, because that's about who we are, what we do, the services we provide, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes, but as part of the coaching and best practices that we're going to give you, we're going to tell you to keep that slide to 1 because the people showing up to an estate planning workshop are not, no offense, they're not interested in you yet. They're interested in getting the education they came for. So letting go of that ego a little bit is kind of something we talk to you guys about. We talk to our advisors about saying, look, you're going to earn the right by standing in front of these people and being a warm, friendly educator. You're a subject matter expert. You know everything that these people have questions about, and they're desperate to get that information. So by showing up and saying, hi, I'm Lara Galloway. I'm here today on behalf of Estate Planning 567. We are going to go through a whole lot of stuff today. I'll tell you a little bit more about how you can find out stuff for your specific situation. I've been in the business for about 25 years. My office is blah, blah, blah. It's just down the street. On your desk, I put a folder that has a one sheet that gives you some background if you want to know a little bit more about who you're listening to today. But let's go ahead and jump into the stuff that you came for. I keep it pretty straight, pretty quick, 10 seconds. And I make sure that they want to read about you. Once they care, people never, they say they don't care about what you know until they know that you care. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so once you've demonstrated to me that you care about me and the reason that I showed up at your workshop, then I'm going to care about you. And so you have that available, and you can have one slide showing your office. I like to have on that slide, oftentimes people have to put up their disclosure slide. And I say on your disclosure slide, put a picture of your family, of your dog, of your boat, whatever your favorite hobby is. Nobody wants to read a disclosure slide, but you got to put it there. So put a nice picture on the side while I'm getting to know you as you're opening up, right? Make sure we have that up there. So we do advise that you do customize it a little bit and have something about who you are, but do not make it a 10-minute commercial about your podcast, your TV show, all the newspapers you write for, all of the things you've done, all the kind of people that you have in your office. You haven't earned the right to do that yet. And in fact, you're closing a door that is actually open for you at that moment if you instead give the people what they came for. Does that make sense?
It does. That's fascinating. Check my ego at the door. I mean, it really is, because I would think, in many cases, the knee-jerk thought is that, I need to impress upon these people all my accolades and that I'm qualified to do this and that, and really impress upon the audience of these things where, natural thought, no, they care about why they're there, which is to get the meat of the information about estate planning, given that as a specific topic.
That's a great way to put it. And another way that I've heard it explained, I have kids in high school and college, and I've seen the teachers that are telling them to write an essay, right? They pull their hair out having to write an essay. And one of the things that the teachers say in this essay, they say, don't tell me what the situation was, show me what the situation was. And I think, to your point that you just made, Scott, the knee-jerk, the gut reaction, that normal thought process is, I need to come in and tell them about all my accolades. Well, why would you be doing that? The point is, you're trying to show them that you're an expert, right? Mm-hmm. So instead of telling them you're an expert, just educate them. And by doing that, you've now shown them that you're an expert, and you've shown them that you care about them more than you care about you. And that does volumes. I mean, this is one of the things I get so fired up about workshops, and workshop marketing is like a system to support growth-minded advisors, is the fact that you are humanizing your marketing. Think about it. You're getting a chance. You're not calling cold leads that you purchased. You're not just doing website SEO optimization. You're not doing, and all that stuff is important, but you're actually getting a chance to show up and humanize your marketing, show people why they should work with you, because look at how they can relate to you.
That's good. I have a thought. I'm going to hold off onto that thought. I'm going to circle back to that.
Okay.
What I want to do is dive a little bit into the resources that White Glove. So I'm on board. That sounds good. I get the White Glove process, turnkey program. I only pay for the cheeks and the seats per se. What next? I'm just not quite up to speed on the content. Maybe a little bit rough around the edges in terms of my delivery from a professional presentation standpoint or public speaking standpoint. Do you have any supports that can help me get on par or even better?
Yeah. And, it just makes us feel so good when somebody asks that question, because we are only getting paid for our results, but equally important are your results. And we can do so much, right? We can only do so much to get you in front of the right people and set you up. But you do have to ultimately be the one who delivers. Bingo. You've got to be that presenter, right? And we have so many things. White Glove we are so invested in advisor education, not just how to be a good presenter. We're also invested in how do you take someone who came to a workshop and pivot them to that next step, to that appointment with you. What do you have to do in that appointment meeting? Well, White Glove doesn't make any money off of the appointment. But we know that the better we do to set you up, the better that we educate you on practice management, on enrollment conversations, on conversion techniques, the better that we educate you on that, the more success you're going to have. And you're going to get the most out of the workshop system and be like many of our advisors where it's the only marketing they do because it's a turnkey system. So to that point, we invest a ton in educating our advisors, and from annual or maybe sometimes twice a year host university. We call our advisors hosts because they're a host of a workshop. They're presenting a workshop. They're a workshop host. So we have host university, which is something we do once or twice a year. It's a huge in-person event where it's all peer-to-peer learning. we bring in some of our most successful folks, and they share, here's what I do to convert people to clients. Here's what I do in my follow-up between the workshop and getting them to come to my office. This is how I increase my appointment rate. They'll tell you they'll open their books, they share their numbers. So Host University is like the pinnacle of what we offer. We do also a lot of virtual summits and seminars where we are teaching this type of stuff, again, bringing in some actual advisors that are doing it and seeing success. We even have White Glove University, which is all online on demand. We record webinars probably once a month or sometimes more. And we're bringing in industry experts like Frank Maselli, who's like amazing at presentation coaching and helping you be a better presenter and a better speaker. And so we'll bring them in and interview them. We load all of that up into White Glove University, and it's on demand and it's free for every single advisor we have. But all of that is just like everything that we're doing on a regular basis. But like the most important thing, I think, Scott, is the fact that all of our executive marketing consultants, that's what we call our sales team, they've been to the Host University. They've watched all the webinars. They've heard Frank Maselli speak 15 times. They take all of these best practices that they're hearing again and again. They're taking what they're learning from their advisors who have success stories, and they are the frontline coach. So when you sign up with us, you're going to get all of these best practices shared with you by your executive marketing consultant, who's going to listen to what it is you're looking for and be able to guide you through to all those different resources.
That's wonderful. Yeah, one of the ones that I wanted you to touch on, which I appreciate you doing that, was Maselli and the resource from a professional presentation coaching standpoint, which is a phenomenal resource. I would imagine not enough probably engage in those privileges.
It's true. I mean, again, when you said we want to be the best we can be, how can we level up? Every single time we hear that, we're like, oh, thank God. Somebody who is actually taking some responsibility and accountability for their success rather than going, well, gosh, White Glove, why didn't you make me successful? So we don't have enough people taking advantage of it. Frank loves coaching our clients. He has made a business out of it. He absolutely adores it. So does Brad Gatto. Brad Gatto is one of our star clients. He's been working with us for years and years. He's gotten so good at it. But in addition to being a great financial advisor, and he's growing his business with sub reps all over the place, he loves coaching. So our clients can book time with him. They even go out and shadow him in his office. He has organized an event where you can go out and literally watch one of the most successful advisors we have do his thing, grow his business. And he'll hand you his scripts. He'll hand you his cadences, everything. So we invest a lot in those resources. And yeah, not enough people take advantage of them. The ones who do are killing it.
That's great. Okay, let's dive a little deeper into the estate planning topic of conversation. Well aware of the other two platform offerings, which is Social Security and taxes and retirement.
Yeah.
But you and I really connected on my interest and passion for that topic in particular. And let's just diffuse the misconception of what that topic actually means, because many advisors, or just natural thought, would migrate towards, oh, geez, estate planning. That means I'm going to need to be intimately involved in the living trusts and wills and a lot of legalese, for a generic term. I'm not an attorney. I don't practice law. I can't practice law. Therefore, that presentation is not for me.
100%. That is when we introduced estate planning so I was actually hired at White Glove to do some new verticals, is what we called it, to help us to expand into new verticals other than just financial advisors. So one of the ones I went into was estate planning attorneys. And because they were so adjacent, right, to the financial advisor. So we first started offering estate planning workshops to attorneys. But over time, it's really funny. Our founders, Dean and Mike Thurman, are cousins. They run InvestWise Financial. They're financial planners, financial advisors. And in their firm at InvestWise, one of their offices has some estate planning attorneys in it. And one of their advisors was buddied up with their attorney, and they actually started offering these estate planning workshops together because they realized the symbiotic relationship, right? Like every financial advisor probably has had an opportunity to refer out to an estate planner, right? And we always joke those referrals don't tend to always come back, right? It's a
No, they don't.
yeah. So they worked it out to where they were presenting estate planning workshops together. But then our co-founder Dean had this revelation. He just realized, he's like, wait a minute, I can actually do these workshops without an estate planning attorney, because honestly, estate planning is all about strategy. And it's all about the stuff, the strategies that financial advisors use every day to take care of their clients' financial future. I mean, designation of beneficiaries, tax advantages, right? Picking ones that are going to maintain the most of your net worth and not erode it with taxes and getting taken over by the government. And how do you pass what you have to the people you love, and all that kind of stuff? All of those different things that you're doing every day as a financial advisor, those are actually estate planning strategies. And honestly, a lot of the documentation is just the byproduct, the end result. The legal side is a byproduct of the strategic planning that you're doing. So when Dean had that revelation, he started doing these workshops on his own, and he stood up and he presented to people. He's like, hey, I know that you came to this workshop probably for one or two reasons, maybe several today. Some of them are going to have to do with the legal side of things, and we're going to talk about that in this workshop. But a lot of the rest of it has to do with the life side of things. And that's where I'm uniquely positioned to talk to you about all this. I'll be able to help generate what you need in terms of the legal documents. We are partnered with attorneys. We have a network of attorneys, however you want to say that. We have some different solutions for you guys. But my job is to make sure that the documents produced are built on the strategy that really is going to work for you and your family the best. And so then he went nuts doing all these estate planning workshops, started having crazy amounts of money getting moved over within just a couple of months of these workshops that he was doing. This was the highest net worth he was seeing in any of the workshops that he was doing. And so then he started calling all of our advisors, and the ones that we've been with forever that had been doing, as you mentioned, Social Security or taxes and retirement workshops. And he started being like, guys, you've got to try estate planning. So I don't know, did you have a conversation with Dean at some point, Scott? Was he hustling you as well, or did your executive marketing consultant get through to you?
Yeah, it was. I did have the good fortune of chatting with Jeff, one of the other founders, and that, yes. So I would say a version of Dean.
Yes.
To articulate the interest. But with that said, it is the topic that really resonated with me even before this, in the sense that, and nothing wrong with a Social Security. I think we as advisors should be very aware of our core market. Who is our ideal client profile. But you touched on a very critical point, in that the estate planning topic seems to attract a higher net worth clientele. Mm-hmm. I also think that by and large, nationally speaking, it is a very comprehensive, holistic financial planning approach that more advisors today are embracing and increasing their skill sets, increasing their wealth of knowledge, their network as an estate planning attorney relationship, and things like that. So it's exciting to have that as a resource and a solution for advisors as a business development component of their practice.
And you're absolutely right. I think the time has never been better than right now, as we're feeling, you hear what is the giant 38 trillion, 74 trillion number that we're hearing all the time. It grows every day, right? About the great wealth transfer that's coming. And I know we've talked to advisors for years, and we say, how are you doing getting the family, getting the spouse, the partner to come into your financial planning meetings, your annual reviews? Well, once in a while we get it, blah, blah, blah. And advisors every day are hearing like, look, 80% of you are going to get fired when the person that you're serving dies, and the spouse or partner who you have never had a relationship, or those heirs to the money that you're currently managing, when those heirs don't have a relationship with you and the great transfer happens, you're going to get fired and they're going to move their money. And so advisors are like, oh gosh, what do we do? Well, it's hard getting that family to come in for a financial plan, but it's not as hard getting them to come in and talk about legacy and an estate plan. And so we're finding that this is one of the reasons advisors are jumping on board with estate planning services, adding that to their offerings, because they're realizing this is the way that I'm going to build that bridge to the next generation. This is the way that I'm actually going to build those relationships with the family of my clients so that I can serve them better, so that I can help them with this huge transfer, and so that I can make sure that they don't leave me and go somewhere else, because I know their financial picture better than somebody knew that they could go to.
That's wonderful. Completely agree with that. Okay, moving on to the next one is the humanized marketing. So I want to circle back to the comment that you made. And
Yeah.
to this point, the conversations that you and I have had have been surrounding in-person events, going back to that. Thank goodness that's, I would say, what's the word that I want to say? We can edit this part out.
That they're coming back, just that.
Yeah, revived.
Yeah.
So thank goodness that this part of our business has revived itself post-pandemic, getting back in-person events, and as opposed to being purely confined to virtual. However, and I think we can all agree that in-person is going to definitely be more effective in most, if not pretty much all cases, from a delivery connection, from a human standpoint, and converting those prospects in the room to ultimately clients. However, I don't want to negate entirely the virtual opportunity, which White Glove does also support advisors in that capacity. Is it okay if I ask a little bit about what some of the maybe best practices would be in a virtual seminar, things that I should consider as an advisor to determine, is this a good fit for me or not? And how do I humanize myself in a virtual setting?
So many good questions there. I love the direction.
I threw it out at you.
Yeah. So I guess one question I get a lot is, seminars.
We know it's more challenging. I think we've all determined that, right? And
yeah, it
so
is.
how do I monetize that at the end of the day? And what do I need to do better as an advisor? I guess is my overarching question.
Yeah, well, the thing about seminars and webinars, they are different animals, but you can choose one versus another. You can use both. How do you choose? We know so seminars, I will say, are awesome for faster conversions, because getting to meet people in person, you're going to move, like, say there's this little pipeline and you've got multiple touches where you have to do certain things to get someone to buy from you, to get them to hire you, right? Well, seminars, standing in front of a group of people, that is so humanizing. They're getting to know you. They're deciding whether they realize it or not, they're deciding while you're speaking whether they want to get to know, like, and trust you more.
Right.
And that
by default, it's human. It's almost like you're naked. Everything's out in the open,
Yes.
It is what it is.
But then on webinars, you could actually not have to wear pants. So I'm just making a joke. Okay. Still have to wear pants. Okay.
Well, hey, add that to the pro column.
All right. Pros, no pants. Yes. But you're right. Like, webinars are still incredibly effective. They attract, I was always surprised by this. I thought webinars would have lower net worth and seminars would have higher net worth. I don't know why I made that up. It's not true at all. We have all the data to show the net worth of the people in the room. It's the same for webinars or seminars. So that's not a choice, right? You can do either one. But webinars, I would say, what do you have to do as an advisor to get the best ROI to monetize webinars? It is a little harder to humanize. One of the things, like, that I tell advisors who are going from seminars to webinars, and just as a quick aside, when COVID hit, I was tasked with helping us create our webinar project. And I was asked to do that. I just agreed to it 2 weeks before COVID hit and the world went into shutdown. And when we went into shutdown, White Glove's revenue went to zero, because we literally only performed in public places and we weren't allowed to do that anymore. So we had to figure the webinar product out really quickly. So I wound up coaching all of our advisors how to take what was a seminar presentation that they probably felt pretty good about at this point, had been doing it for a while, and how to learn how to adapt it to the webinar format. And some of the lessons learned there, Scott, I can tell you right off the bat. Number one, fewer slides. Number two, less busy words on slides. You need a few bullet points and you need to talk more, and you need nice graphics. You may be able to get away with a crappy chart, an eye chart with small print, lots of bullets. If you're doing a seminar, that is not going to work in a webinar because you're this big on the screen in the top right corner, your face, you're moving. The rest of it is the slides. So the experience of the user is mostly what's happening on that slide, and your slides have to be better. Okay, that's critical. It's not optional. Don't make it an afterthought. And then one of the biggest things that we teach as a best practice, and at White Glove, we actually assign a webinar concierge, and that's like a web producer to help you practice and prep and even run the platform for you, launch polls, all that kind of stuff. They will teach you in their best practices, ask more questions rather than just sitting there and talking to a screen. Ask questions like, how many of you know what an RMD is? When is the best time to take one? Let's do a poll, because I find out that audiences have a lot of different information on this. So go ahead. I'm going to pop a poll on the screen. So what we do is we teach you how to ask questions, how to run polls. These are engagement tools, because even though it's a one-way street on a webinar, you can engage, you can ask questions, and people like to respond. And that engagement helps drive up their interest in and their likelihood in booking an appointment with you. So those are a few of the things that we would teach you for doing webinars instead of seminars.
That's fantastic. That's very, very helpful. Thank you. I would also acknowledge, be honest with yourself. It's not for everybody. You definitely can do this in stages. So start with in person. If you deliver success there, then open up the conversation of taking the next step. The other thing that I know White Glove can do is help pre-record virtual workshops. So essentially the audience is experiencing a live event, but it's pre-recorded.
Oh my God.
So in theory, I could be in two places at one time, correct?
Absolutely. And this is something that I'm so glad you mentioned, because when you think about scaling your business, and, I would say just roughly half of the business owners, half of the advisors we work with are probably a firm size of 3. Okay. They're very small. Okay. So your time is one of your most valuable assets for sure. And the best way for you to make ROI on how you spend your time is meeting with your clients, right? Is writing plans, rebalancing, doing all the stuff you do as a financial advisor. That's how you make your money. It's not doing marketing stuff. Marketing stuff takes time. It's an investment, and it ultimately pays you back. But when it comes to like the critical use of your time, webinars are amazing and help you really be more scalable. Because like you said, our webinar concierge will record you when you're doing your live presentation, and then we can rebroadcast it. We can replay it back. If you want to run it next month, you want to run it the month after, we'll get you more leads. It feels like a live experience. Meanwhile, you're back at the office working on whatever it is you're working on with your clients, or maybe you're at the family cottage hanging out and having some family time. Whatever that is, we provide that experience for you so you can be back doing your time the way you're spending your time the best way you should, and let us continue to get those lead gen prospects going for you.
It's very interesting. You talk with many advisors, use the 3-person team as an example. It's like, we had an incredible year. We brought on X amount of new assets, annuities, investments, insurance, etc. And we were working like dogs.
Yeah.
But we want to double our production. Okay, how are we going to do? How did you feel at the end of that year of this incredible success? I was completely exhausted. I so overworked, all those things. Okay, well, there's only 3 options that you have if you're truly going to grow. 1 would be to hire more staff, more advisors. 2, see more people. Or 3, see wealthier people. And it's probably the combination of all 3. So. Yeah. We got to retool here. And one option would be seeing more people is replicating on an automated basis more than just me presenting in a live format. So I love that as an option. Okay, next step. And I think as we're wrapping up here, seminar standards. There's got to be some very particular metrics and best practices to where I got it, I'm on board, I'm doing this. What is a good measure of success to be in this business? Because it's not one and done. It's not do 3 here and then stop for a quarter. What are the expectations to be truly in this business on an effective level?
Yeah. So, like I said, we do have the really small 3-person office RIAs. We do have the very large, very growth-minded RIAs that have multiple offices, they have multiple reps, and they're sucking up all of the inventory they can anywhere in their area. So they could be doing weekly workshops, whether it's a seminar or a webinar. But here's the thing, that may sound great, but back to the point of you being able to be successful and spending your time, one of the things that we say, whenever you book a workshop, make sure you're also thinking about, are you available on Tuesday at 6:00? Okay, well, you're going to have to drive at 5 and you're going to leave at, say, maybe 7. Okay, so 5 to 7:30, are you available that Tuesday night? That's what a lot of people think is their commitment to the workshop. It's not. It's also the prep and the practice time. It's also really critical that you think about afterwards, are the next 2 weeks on your calendar fairly open? Because if you're going to pay for these leads, if you're going to get the opportunity to stand in front of these folks, and at White Glove, you only pay for the people who show up. So again, if you're asking us for 20 buying units, 20 households, we're going to register 40 to 45 because we know about half of them aren't going to show up. We've got data that shows us where, how to adjust that for every market. But let's just say if you wanted 20 buying units, you're going to pay for whoever shows up, but you're going to get 45, right? As an average. And do you have time in your calendar to follow up with those people the next 2 weeks after your event? If you don't, then you really shouldn't book an event in that time frame. That is on you. You can be your worst bottleneck. And we've really had to talk to some advisors about this because they say, I didn't get to follow up with everybody. Well, White Glove we can do a lot of the follow-up for you. We'll do it for free. We have something called conversion campaigns for 45 days, but you should still be doing some reaching out yourself. And I would say when you are thinking about how to be successful with seminar marketing or webinar marketing, you want to make sure you're looking at your practice management. Do you have a good way of capturing those leads? Are you willing to dedicate the time to follow up with them? Because it doesn't stop when you get off the stage or walk out of the front of the room. You absolutely have to be ready to manage those leads and get them from first appointments to second to close, however many times it takes. But that is one of the biggest things that I want to share, that I think a lot of advisors who are new to seminar or webinar marketing don't often think about when they're coming into it.
That's fantastic. And very, very important to think about. It's not just the pregame, deliver the presentation, all of a sudden my Rolodex, the calendar is going to be full with appointments. No. Honestly, that's probably where the work begins.
Yeah. And we say an average, this is what we see across the board. So this is just an average. So 1 in 16 attendees of your workshop are going to become a client. Now, there are some who get many higher. There are some who don't get a single client out of their first workshops. And what we say is, you mentioned, don't do the one and done, the fly by night. Remember, you are the actor here. You are the performer. We're setting you up for success. We've been around since 2015. We're the best in the industry. We do 400 workshops a month across the US and Canada. We are doing something right. We have our system dialed in. The big variable, though, happens to be you. How did you perform? Did you make these people like, know, and trust you? Did you follow through? Did you have a strong call to action? And did you work to get them through your system so that they converted? There are so many breakpoints in there that, again, we try to bring coaching to, but you still have to execute on. But a good average to say, am I doing this right? What can I expect? Is that 1 or 2 in 16 attendees will become clients. And what we like to see with that, we like to see when you stand in front of a room, half the room, 50%, should raise their hand to book an appointment with you. If you did not get 50%, there's probably something wrong. You might have done something that we don't recommend. And we want to help you analyze that and figure it out. So instead of just doing workshop and going, it didn't work, know that you are a variable and your performance might need some tweaking, or your follow-up, your practice management might need some tweaking. And what we recommend, maybe go ahead, if you're going to try it, get your head around committing to 3 or 4 workshops. Make sure you take advantage of Frank Maselli, White Glove University, Host University, all the teaching and coaching that we have. You're going to do your first one, you're going to learn a lot. And then you're going to take some of the coaching and feedback that we give, and let's apply it to the second, third, fourth. We don't tell you to come in and sign up and book a year with us. That's for more experienced folks. We suggest if you're just getting started with it, think about 3 or 4. You're going to get a lot of lessons learned in those first couple, and you're going to see your ROI increase. And we have guys that are getting a lot more clients and a lot more investments because they have become masters at their technique.
I love that. Be realistic with my expectations. Understand that this is a learning curve. Invest in the resources that White Glove offers, because each seminar you'll get better.
Absolutely.
That's wonderful. Okay. This is a 3-part series. Thank you so much for your time. Honestly, this was incredible and extremely informative. Today was all about gaining a competitive advantage with estate planning. Love the topic. Love the expertise. Stay tuned for 2 future episodes. Why performance-based marketing gets you the best return on your investment. And third in the series will be building trust and emotional connections in seminars and why it matters. From here, Lara, how do people get engaged? What should be their next steps from here as it relates to White Glove for those that were listening?
Yeah. You can send us an email, info@whiteglove.com, if you want to learn more, and we'll get you hooked up with one of our executive marketing consultants. Go straight to our website, whiteglove.com, and fill in a form there. We'll do the exact same thing. Either of those are great. We have a podcast. It's also on our website. You're welcome to listen to. I'm the host of that. You can see some of the experts that we interview, some of the clients that we interview. That is called the FAST Podcast, and it's listed on our whiteglove.com website under resources. So go take a listen and just serve yourself some information and learn a little bit about how we are very invested in the best practices, not just taking your money and giving you clients and get the cheeks and seats. It's a whole process, and it really works, and it's how some of our best advisors have built their business. We'd love to help you build yours.
I sincerely appreciate your time. I got to ask, what's in the name, FAST Podcast?
Financial Advisor Strategy Talks.
There you go. I love that. Lara, thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you to all those for tuning in. Until next time, cheers.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you for tuning in to today's episode. Please subscribe, like, share, leave a comment, or review. Be sure to check us out on social media at Optimized Advisor Podcast. Till next time.